This is the 65th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third week of October 2011. This episode is titled Siri Does It. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, cloud computing experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood. And joining me from the lost archives of last week's podcast that you did not enjoy because it was not recorded, because work, the true work, the one true work, aka doing Salesforce stuff, kept us apart like two long forgotten mules. Justin, how are you doing?
I missed you.
So much.
I missed you so much.
Yeah.
You were off having fun with clients. And I was here waiting to do a podcast. I was just sitting here so lonely.
Yeah, we tried. We had planned to try to do go old school and a Skype podcast.
That didn't work.
But I had about, and I know the client actually listens to this podcast, so I have no problem saying it. I had about 4 seconds to myself in a 16, 17-hour day. About 4 seconds. So there was no time to put together.
Did you guys
a podcast.
like snuggle?
It was a 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. type of day every day.
Those are good days.
Those are good days.
I like those days.
Especially with good clients. So enjoyed it. All right, we got an agenda today.
We always have an agenda.
We'll talk about the thing that happened last week that we were away for, which is the iPhone 4S was released and set all sorts of records. And
Did it really?
We'll talk. Oh yeah, big time.
I don't really know much. I didn't read up about it.
And we have a whole bunch of blog posts we can cover, so we can kind of do a blog post review.
Sure.
We could talk about Winter 6.
Winter 6?
Half of Winter
12?
12.
Okay. I get it.
I thought that was good. And then...
you know, that's funny. You wrote Winter 6, and I was going to go, what? Maybe you wrote that really fast. I was going to go change it.
Yeah?
I didn't. I thought maybe you did it then for a reason.
I did.
Couldn't figure it out.
Now you got it?
I got it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then a little Salesforce Mark Benioff thing, and we'll make our CloudFocus App Pick of the Week. So let's start off with let's talk about with the thing that you or I don't have, but the other person, the nameless one, does have one, and my wife has one now. Is the iPhone 4S, sort of in iCloud, and really the big news is Siri, the new virtual sort of assistant or whatever.
I don't even know her, but I love her.
Yeah, so you're really not going to have much to say in this.
That's a line from Up.
You've never played with Siri yet.
Me and Siri are strangers.
You are strangers.
But I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah, so we were able to get a iPhone 4S for the wife, which was good. She was, just for those, she was one of the ones who waited for the white one for the iPhone 4 white one for 6 months or so. Then they never did it. Then they did it 6 months later. So as a payback for that, I allowed her to upgrade first, leaving us in the dust to the upgrade in the 6 weeks or whatever.
We have about a month to wait for our iPhone 4Ss.
So, it has, new features, whatever. It's all hardware. We're not doing a hardware show. But the really interesting thing, and it is actually cloud-based, is Siri, which is basically a built-in voice command system that understands things. And I was playing with the wife's phone and playing with Siri and showing her and showing my 6-year-old daughter how to use it, which was really fun because the 6-year-old daughter basically thinks it's alive. I mean, she's like, "I love Siri." She says to the Siri over and over again, "I love you, Siri," and Siri will say, she'll say funny things back. She has like this thing. She'll say, she'll be like, "That's impossible," or "I appreciate it," or it's just she has some funny phrases.
Siri and I are gonna have a really fun relationship.
It is a fun relationship. So, but what's interesting is that
I want Siri to be a British man.
There is a British man.
I can't wait for that.
You can put it as a British man. So the cool part is not just that it's voice recognition. That's been around for a while. We were driving someone the other day, and I showed you how in my 5-year-old car.
Yesterday, I said your car should have that, but it was really crap.
It was old school, right?
You were like, call, and it was like, I do not understand. You're like,
dial
number. It's like, I do not understand. Yeah. Then you had to click through a series of menus to figure out what you were supposed to say. Yeah. Which is no fun, because you may as well just click the button. So
Siri does natural language. You don't have to train it. It basically understands things. It understands the two things that are interesting are context, that it understands that if you're asking about something or say, send text to, Justin Edelstein, and then it writes it for you, and then it says, should I send it? You say yes. Like, you have a conversation back and forth until the task is done. The other thing is the learning piece of it, which, so I was setting up my wife's phone, so it wasn't mine, but like we were saying, call mom. And it said, who among these people is your mother? And it kind of figured out like one or two. It was weird. It had a list that made sense.
What did it do? Names?
It would pull them up out of your address book, and then
how did it figure it out? Names?
Well, you then tell it. Yeah,
No, I know what you do to set it.
Yeah.
I'm getting at how does it guess? Like, husband might be easy, right? Same last name. Yep. That's simple. It can't have too many.
Well, then it comes up with one, and then you say that's the contact. You either tell it.
It's set.
And then it's set.
So stores that in the cloud.
Like, it knows me as Jake, so my wife calls me Jake, so then she just has to say, send Jake a text.
Right.
And it knows it's me. So it was cool stuff like that. Really impressed. It is, the whole thing does go up. So it records the voice, it sends it up to the cloud. The cloud then transcribes it, and then sends back. It's very, very quick. So you have to do it over an internet. So overall, awesome. I mean, I just really, it's a great technology. It's one of those things that I think really demos well. Day to day, like how much you use it. We'll see how users, talking to your phone. Again, as we said before, and I still think I'm more kind of excited for it to hit the desktop, even the iPad, because I could see me doing one thing. That's what I really want to be able to do. Because the phone, you're kind of doing one thing, and if you hit Siri, you're kind of over at Siri. But I'd love to be able to sit typing something and go, OmniFocus, call Justin tomorrow, boom, and just keep typing, and like it just does that on the side. Like, I want it to happen while I'm not doing the thing that I'm doing. Anyway, so that's a little bit of Siri and iPhone 4S. It hit records. It's like 2 million in the weekend. Brought down AT&T again. Don't know how this company can't scale for something they know is going to happen 6 months in advance. Well, it also brought down Sprint and Verizon. It's just, how can you not know? AT&T is the worst because they've had years. They got brought down the first weekend. They got brought the second weekend. They've been brought down every single time, and how can they not understand that? And the other big thing, there's the iOS 5 update, which we all did, which brought many new features. The one that we're kind of excited about and been using a lot is iMessage. Which, tell me about your, using iMessage, another cloud technology.
Well, I'm a big proponent of the app called WhatsApp.
It was one of your picks?
One of my picks. I love WhatsApp for group messaging.
Yep.
Still use it because it's cross-platform,
right.
And I have a bunch of friends who are using WhatsApp on not Apple devices. But if you have two people both using iPhones and you are text messaging each other, you are no longer text messaging each other.
Right.
You are iMessaging each other. It goes from green to blue. It's fun to watch it go to blue.
Yep.
It goes over, I believe it tries to go over the internet first, and then will go over the cell network.
Right. It tries to go over the internet. It tries to go over a Wi-Fi connection first.
Right.
If it can, it goes over the data. So it's also cutting down on your data connection.
It's using your data, not your text.
Because if you were texting from a place where you had Wi-Fi, it would always go over your phone, no matter what.
Yeah.
And in fact, our office is a perfect example. Because our office has no cell phone service.
Zero. Thank you, AT&T.
Which keeps us very...
Middle of Times Square. It's excellent.
Keeps us very productive. But... Now, iMessage works great.
Yes, so we can text out.
You can text out to iMessage.
That's why I used to love WhatsApp, because I could text out using WhatsApp to other people who are using WhatsApp. But nice group features, sending videos or photos, very fast, lightning quick.
Yeah, very fast.
Very nice to be able to use iMessage. A couple other features in the new OS that I've come to enjoy is the notification system.
Yep, that's very good.
Much improved.
Yep.
Doesn't bother you anymore when you're doing something. Like, you don't have to hit cancel. It just sort of flips up at the top and then flips back. From the home screen, if you have like 4 or 5 different notifications, you can slide on individual ones to jump into that application, which I like. You can slide the whole thing down from the top, see all the different messages, and slide it back up. Much improved. And the last one, which was interesting, was that I find interesting, is the find the phone or the location one.
Find my friends.
Find my friends.
Friends and family or whatever.
The glimpse, which was another pick of the week.
Yes, replacement.
We pick a lot of things that then get replaced.
That's true.
kind of Big Brother-ish. It was weird because yesterday I have invited my father to be my friend and find a friend. And
how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, a little odd, to be honest. So he accepts my thing and he goes, "Oh, I can't see you. Where are you? You must be in like a..." And I realized that I had purposely actually turned my location off.
Right.
I didn't want to be found because if you're on and you have friends, you're on.
Yeah.
And they will see where you are, and that's it.
Very unlike Glimpse, Glimpse was, and that's why it's called Glimpse, was you create a glimpse of time, and whatever you set it for 30 minutes or an hour. This one, like, you just turn on.
This has that too.
This one has that too, right.
It has both. It has always find me, and then it has, like, events.
Right.
Where it's temporary. Like, for this date and time, let these people know where I am. So it has both. So my dad said, "Oh, I don't see you. You must be in like a bad place or like a bad location or something." And I said, "Oh no, I just turned it off. I'll turn it on so that you can see where I am, just so you can see it working." And I forgot to then turn it off.
Right.
So he goes to like look at it later on in the day, and he's like, "Oh, I see you're at the Jet game. Yep, Big Daddy's watching."
Oh,
like
wow.
it was like not Big Brother, but Big Daddy.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, I'm going to keep this off from
Right.
now on and never turn it back on ever. And I'll just use the event ones for when I actually want to use this feature because there's no point in allowing everyone to know exactly where I am at every given moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good time to use it when you're meeting with people, when you're meeting up, when you're traveling.
If I was a 12-year-old child and my parents wanted to know where I was, that would be a nice feature.
You can turn, in parental controls, you can say that they can't turn it off, which is nice. So I was just one more thing about the about iMessage, which has the two things I think have been missing from, three things about it. One is, for all those you're going to complain, well, it's just a Mac, it's just a Mac thing. It integrates so seamlessly and so brilliantly. There's no thought of it. You're looking at a user, and all of a sudden you're used to type green, and now when you type, it's blue, and it just starts to happen. And it says iMessage and thing. So it's like
it has the read receipts, which are nice.
It has read receipts, delivery receipts, and then read receipts, which is the great. It has a little red and tells you when it was read, and it has the type ahead. So as you type, as you and I were going back and forth in text, I can
typing.
Right, I can see you were typing, and that's nice for text because sometimes you don't know if they're. Am I just sending this to nobody, or are they actually getting it? Like, then I'm in a conversation. Very much like I am. Like, it basically becomes an I am message.
Not the first to do this, clearly. Others have done it for years.
But building it right into the same app that does texting, so you don't have to go to some other app. Right. It's right built in. There's no...
Those who have it, those who don't, and it's none the different.
Yeah, and you don't have to think about it. So speaking of things you do have to think about, on a couple days of Cloud Win... I guess this is sort of we did mention in the agenda, just popped up on the Google Wave, brought it in there.
Good one.
Was that RIM, I think, was down for about 4 days globally. So meaning all, the way that BlackBerry works, my understanding is that they have literally these central places where all things go through, all things BlackBerry go through their central servers, which I guess gives them scalability and all sorts of stuff, but it also gives them. This has happened before. They've gone down for 24 hours or so, and that means anybody who's a BlackBerry user goes down with them. Literally, you go down. And this one's been down for 4 days. Not great to have your system go down for 4 days right as one of the most popular phones on the planet launches. Like, if I were a BlackBerry user and it was down for 12 hours, I'd be like, forget it, I'm off, and then go get,
Yeah.
If I didn't already own the stupid thing.
BlackBerry still, don't know the statistics, but I'm sure very highly adopted in the enterprise. Consumer-wise, it's dwindling more and more. Like, I know a lot of people who've had BlackBerries and said, why would I have this anymore? I'm going to go get an iPhone or a Droid.
If your company's giving you a phone, you're going to take the phone they give you.
Well, but you sometimes don't have a choice.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You just take what they give you, and then they tell you...
If you have a choice, though, you probably wouldn't even choose the BlackBerry.
Right, I wouldn't.
I mean, at this point, like, I 3 years ago, I would have said, for a corporate... pure messaging device, give me the BlackBerry.
Right.
Because it really does email very, very well.
Very well, yeah.
Now, I don't think there's much of a difference.
Right. So interesting. I don't really know the ramifications of it. It seems like it's
bad for the brand, that's all.
4 days is a long time.
Long
4
time.
hours in this. That's the thing. Used to be 4 hours was acceptable. Now 4 hours isn't acceptable. We were just talking about the winter. Actually, moving on. Nice segue. We're talking about winter 12 and how Salesforce has a thing where they can't go down for a certain amount of time. They have windows. To go down for 4 days is incredible. So obviously, Salesforce has outages, but 4 days is a long time to go down. We've had the PS3 network, I think, went down. Right, their online network went down for like 4 or 5 days.
Everyone apologizes profusely, but it doesn't make up for the fact that it was down.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix has gone down.
And then you put in some extra redundancy, and then, go down again. I mean, it happens, but bad for the brand.
Certainly bad for the brand. And again, at a time where you're already taking shots where people are coming at you, 5 years ago, whatever went down fine because you weren't going anywhere else. Now there's a lot of options, and it does show that if you're on one network, at least now with my iPhone, if Verizon goes down, we've had this happen. Verizon goes down, we're on AT&T, fine. Or now there's 3 different carriers, so you could switch between the 3. So I want to talk a little bit about. We'll do this, then we'll go back up. So a little bit about Winter 12. Winter 12 came out, and I don't think we mentioned it. I went back over the last podcast to listen to see if we talked about it. But basically, there was a lot of stuff that didn't make it in.
No, we weren't aware of the situation in our
because we skipped a week.
Yeah, in our last podcast, all we really had to go by was the release notes. And, it was very odd because, you have the release notes, and then you have a couple places where you can go play with Winter 12.
Right.
You have your sandbox,
right,
where your sandbox is. And then you have pre-release.
Right.
Where you can go set up a pre-release org. And they were different.
I would tell you that I always thought, if you hadn't said to me normally, and again, someone who's been in Salesforce for, I don't know, a couple days now, I would have said pre-release and sandbox, same place. Pre-release was for people to go look at stuff that, that you didn't have a sandbox, but if your sandbox was refreshed, then it would be pretty much the same. Like, I would have thought that.
Well, they are different.
Yeah.
And it's if your sandbox isn't refreshed.
Right. Isn't refreshed. What I'm saying, if it gets moved to the next version, right. If I look again and I see Winter 12 in there.
They're not the same. The pre-release edition is Winter 12 complete.
Right.
This is what Winter 12 will
look like
when it's completely rolled after the series of rolling patches and whatnot as it becomes fully released.
Right.
The sandbox is Winter 12, like, day one. Like, when you get Winter 12 in your production instance, this is what it will look like. So, in no sandbox did anyone see social contacts. In no sandbox did anyone see private chatter groups for customers.
Right.
Some of those big
filters on
dashboard filters, a lot of those big-time
forecasting
features.
New forecasting.
Although, I must say, in my pre-release org, I did not have dashboard filters there either, which was a little weird.
Yeah.
Forecasting, which was for new customers only. So I did have it in my pre-release org, but not in my sandbox.
Right.
Because in my pre-release, I'm a new customer.
Right.
It's a new org. Nothing tying me to anything. So just a little weird. Need a little bit more of a streamlined communication, transparency from Salesforce in their release notes and all the other places where they put these release topics. Their Salesforce Facebook page where they started, the community sites, the resource pages. They all need to be, I think, a little clearer about how these rolling releases work, because they've started with the rolling release for the last couple of releases, and everyone was very excited by Winter 12. Winter 12 was the biggest release with the most features that we've seen in a year or two. And it turns out that we don't have those features just yet.
And I think that's sort of the issue is that, as a Salesforce user, I've always been used to it. I've been through, literally countless now upgrades. And it's always been, you get everything that comes out, you get it in that release, and you move on. This new rolling release, and they started with things like even content. It started with things like Chatter was a rolling release, as I remember.
Chatter was a pilot.
But when they released it, they didn't release it on a release date. They released it after. It had its own time when it came on. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I was in an org
that had it as
at
pilot.
That point that did not turn Chatter on.
So, I think that's fine. You almost have to, and this is my thinking of it, we started talking about today, you almost have to go away from having these big releases if they're not really big releases. Because calling something Winter 12, but it's really spread over months, I don't know. Like, I think you've moved away from what that meant into what it means now. It means now, like, you might as well call it Fall 10, because that's when you're going to see it, sometime in the fall. Start it in September.
Yeah, right.
Start it in September, and then maybe by the end of December, you'll see it. So
I think there was also just a little bit of added pressure coming out of a Dreamforce as opposed to going into a Dreamforce.
Right.
There's a difference, right? We're coming out of a Dreamforce where all these things were announced and shown on stage, as opposed to this being released now and then going into a Dreamforce where they show it to you and you've already sort of seen it all a little bit. So it's a different.
No, I agree. Because we've seen
mentality.
it now. We've seen it now almost a month ago, 2 months ago,
At Dreamforce.
Yeah, with Dreamforce,
where someone's on stage saying, "You're getting all this."
Not to mention stuff that we saw last Dreamforce, which is still kind of coming out. So that's always irksome. It'll be interesting to see. So knowing Dreamforce 2012, Dreamforce 12, DF12 is in September of next year, September 18th, 19th. So we're now less than a year away. Interesting to see when they nail that schedule. Right when they do that release.
It's going to be very tight.
Yeah.
I have to imagine they're going to have to bump it out.
Because you can't November.
You can't do it so close. There's too many people not focusing on that.
And you can't have it in the pre-release stuff because then you'd have to show it. So you're right. It'll probably be a November release.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Just a guess.
We're
going to throw that out.
Winter 13 will be November 12.
Okay. Let's just talk for a second. I mean, Winter 12 is out. And and we've been using it now for a week or so in our production instance. I have a couple favorite features now that I've been able to play with them.
Yeah.
Just to give some positive spin.
Give me one.
My my one.
Just one.
I think it's the new Chatter tab, the hovers over thing, and it's not just in the Chatter tab, but hovering in Chatter and the new views in the Chatter tab. I think those are my favorite. They're very useful. I always used to hit the Chatter tab and you'd see like this name of an opportunity that fits your sort of naming convention, so they all sort of look the same. And there's chatter about it, and you don't really know what that record is. So you have to click on it, and then now you're gone. Right? You're out of the chatter tab. Now you can just hover over it. You see some stuff. You can hover over people and see some stuff and take actions from there. Like I hover over Jason Atwood, and I can hit you with the private message.
So are these the same hovers that are for like side link hovers?
I can't answer that question because I don't know the answer, but I imagine so. I mean, they have to be
so it's just
configurable.
You know what? I hadn't even noticed.
Oh, it's the greatest.
I just am looking at it now, and I can tell you in 3 seconds whether it's the same because,
Are they the same?
Yes, same data set.
I like it. That's great.
Very nice. Yeah, that's very cool.
What's your favorite?
Mine, I just spent an hour and a half doing some stuff with dashboards, and really the new dashboards. The dashboard view, or reports dashboard view of
the reports tab.
The reports tab with down the side, the finder. I was using the quick finds on both sides. I like that they show the dashboards and reports together. You can do neat stuff from them.
They should almost rename the tab to analytics or something.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not reports anymore. No, it's not.
We'll think about that in the future.
We will help them with that. All right. So one other little thing, two other little things, and then we'll wrap it up. We have a lot of blog posts.
We had a couple since we've last.
Let's just throw out the titles and let them go read them because they're there. They're there to be read.
So one title: device apathy.
Yep.
This one,
the youngest, grumpiest old man.
Yeah, this one was written about how the cloud helps to sort of free you from making decisions about devices.
Right.
I happen to disagree with him.
Totally disagree.
And that's okay. You can look at his post and you can feel free to disagree.
And comment.
Comment, please.
blog.arkusinc.com.
I feel as if the cloud doesn't help me not want to use an iPhone or a MacBook Pro.
Nope.
Like, I don't want a BlackBerry and a HP desktop with Windows 7.
In a perfect world, the cloud would do this. I maybe would have spun it that way. It doesn't do this.
No.
In fact, a lot of the vendors, including Google and Apple and Microsoft and RIM, are making the device more connected to their clouds than ever before. And they're directly connected, and you can't you can't just pick up an iPhone functionality and drop it in a Google Android device.
No.
Okay.
There is still stuff left at the operating system level that is very useful.
That extends the cloud.
Right. Very useful stuff. All right. The next one, this blog post is written by the partner who shall remain nameless.
Yep.
And talks about Netflix quickly drops the ball, and this is a topic we talked about on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Netflix and Quickster, breaking out Netflix from the physical media side, from the streaming media side, and then backing away from that.
Yep.
And saying, oh, that was a bad idea. We got some pretty bad feedback on that.
So for a company that has done, 3 price increases in a year, or price changes in a year, and then was going to do a full name change and relaunch of 2 different websites.
No good.
Plus outages for their services.
No good.
No good. The blog post, you haven't read it, but go read it because it talks about a lot of the alternatives that are popping up, and including a return to old media. Whereas, the red boxes and blockbusters are all coming up now. So read the blog post. That's also at blog.arkusinc.com. And what else is at blog.arkus?
Written by me this week, posted just yesterday, today being Tuesday, yesterday being Monday. I wrote a fairly in-depth study on the new approach to security in Salesforce using permission sets. My favorite permission sets.
Yes.
I'm
could be your middle name at this point. It's funny talking about your favorite features in Winter 12, not mentioning permission sets.
Well,
no.
If you noticed when I said it, I giggled because I knew I would get to permission sets
like
later.
a 5-year-old.
But permission sets are my favorite admin feature, not like an end user feature.
Oh, okay.
So I wrote a little bit about how we recently used permission sets as part of our methodology to roll out the permissions level of a project that was wrapping up from the start. So we got to use them from the start. We didn't have to revamp an existing permissions model, and how we went about doing that, and how you might want to do that as well. It's
worth the read at blog.arkusinc.com.
That's probably the most worthy of a read.
Probably not.
Since I wrote it.
And the last thing we'll do, I don't know if there's really much to talk about it.
You put this link on the
So Mark Benioff in I think it's Cloud 2, one of these tech conferences.
Web 2.0 Summit in San Francisco.
Says basically that Facebook is leading the direction for where all enterprises and cloud computing technology is going.
He's pretty much he's in
up their butt.
He's all in. He's all in on social enterprise. He's all in on that is the interface for getting stuff done.
Right.
Social feeds, push.
Funny in a time that Facebook is being beaten over the head for a lot of their changes that they're doing, and being sued now by a company called Timeline, who they say they built the thing that Facebook stole. I don't know. Facebook to me is, I love some of the concepts. I'm not sure it's all the leading, thing. I think there's other companies out there doing more leading edge stuff, but
here's why. I mean, just to take the Benioff side a little bit. I mean, when he tells the story of Salesforce.com, that little startup that could, he always mentioned and talked about the vision of having enterprise software be as simple to use as Amazon.com, which was at the time the website.
It's still baked so far into my vernacular that I was doing training last week, and I couldn't. I started to say it, and then I thought, wow, that's not really true anymore.
No, now it's Facebook.
Well, because Amazon actually looks like a pile of poo.
But at the time, it was right. It was you don't need to be trained to buy a book. You go on Amazon.com, you click around,
click
you
the
buy
tab
a book,
for
you
books,
click a tab, you pay for it. Right? So he's on to the next thing, which is the thing now, and it was innovative and certainly thought provoking at the time to say I want enterprise software to be like this consumer website, and that's virtually the same message, just a different consumer website and a different way of doing it.
Here's a challenge for Mark Benioff and Salesforce.
If he chooses to accept it, and I know he listens to this
I know
podcast.
He does. Number one listener, number one fan, friend of the podcast. I challenge him to be the person who sets the next direction. So Facebook, Twitter, and all the other social networks out there then go, Our next direction is like what Salesforce is doing.
Well, hasn't he done that in the enterprise?
No, technology-wise.
Well,
he's saying that the interface...
Hasn't he done that, though, in the enterprise to say, the cloud computing model is the model, right? And he said that, and then others have followed.
In terms of cloud computing, but in terms of
but
interface...
that's what he does, not interface.
He doesn't do interface?
Well, of course he does, but he has done that. He has taken that leap.
I think from a cloud computing standpoint, he has. I would love for him to, because I feel like sometimes it feels like for interface stuff, while looking at the other guys and how they're doing it, sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't. Chatter's a good example where it fits. I still don't feel it fits exactly. I think there's still concepts around business work and productivity and doing work that don't fit and sit with Facebook. Those are things that I don't. So anyway, that's my challenge. Let's get right into our CloudFocus App Pick of the Week because yours is going to be pretty easy.
Mine is easy. Speaking of Facebook, they came out with the universal app.
Yay!
Yay for Facebook. So Facebook is now available on the iPad
if you didn't
and the iPhone. Yep. If you already didn't know, and if you already didn't have Facebook on your phone and didn't upgrade it, well, guess what? It's got an upgrade. Go to the App Store, download it, and it'll magically appear on your iPad if you have both. In my case, I did it the reverse way. Downloaded it on the iPad. It updated itself on the iPhone.
Yep.
And it's new in both places. Works really well. It's very similar to the web interface. Has the chat. You can slide things around. Sliding windows. It's made for an iPad, and it works. That's it. It works.
And it's a very good copy of one of your MyPad. So I'm sure there's.
And all of a sudden, MyPad became sort of useless for me.
iPad, the Facebook for iPad is great. I wonder, looking at the app and actually looking kind of buggy. Like there's some things that still don't work for me, like messages. It says
messages doesn't work on the iPhone for some reason.
And iPad.
And the iPad.
Yep, says stop, refload, whatever. It still doesn't work. So it's just kind of weird. It's like. Why taking so long? This is almost 2 years in.
Yeah, it's so weird that it took them that long.
Considering
Maybe there was some underlying platform things that they were doing, but the iPhone app came out
very quickly.
Immediately.
Yeah, so I know from developers that turning an iPhone app to just a basic universal app is not that difficult. So it must have been something. Anyway, good pick, although a little easy. But anyway.
It was very easy. I copped out a little.
Yeah, copped out a little bit. So I'm going to go with...
Someone actually asked me for... I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah?
Yeah, because someone asked me...
Why not?
Why not? I like putting you on the spot. Someone asked me on Twitter, privately, for a CloudFocus App Pick of the Week. And I just didn't have time to come up with it. But
wait, asked you for one?
Asked me if I could provide one for him.
Listen to the podcast. Oh, I see. Just to suggest software.
Hey, I have this problem. Justin, do you know of anything?
Yep. Which one was it?
CloudFocus App of the Week for auto-publishing to social networks like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, business app. And doesn't Ping FM do that?
I think it does it. The one we've actually talked about before. What's this called? I'm trying to hover over the thing. Buffer?
Buffer posts to multiples?
No, just to Twitter right now. Oh, go to all of them?
Ping.
Oh, the other one, Ping
FM
is, but the one that Tumblr. Doesn't Tumblr, when you post stuff to Tumblr, it sends out to a lot of different places?
You can do that?
Yeah, there's the one that Gary Vee talks about a lot. I think it might be Tumblr.
Well, don't some of those other apps do this? I don't know if Seismic. I think Seismic you can choose.
I'd love to know what the use case is. Is it but automatic and then to many different places?
Yeah, auto-publishing to social networks like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Don't know.
Business apps. Don't know if he means auto-publishing like I publish this thing on my WordPress blog and all of a sudden it just proliferates.
Right.
Or I want to publish it once and have it go to all three places.
Yeah.
I need more information.
Here's the thing, and I know this is kind of... We've looked at those tools. Here's my challenge back to you. I think each network really deserves its own look. Because hashtags don't work in Facebook, and mentions don't work in Facebook, and Facebook can put in a lot more than Twitter can, so you can say more in Facebook. I actually think that there's a reason, especially with those two networks, they're so important, spend the extra 5 seconds to go and do a real post. I don't know. That's just me. All right, my pick of the week is actually, I thought about two things. One I thought about from Siri, because of the idea of taking stuff and uploading it.
I'm going to download yours.
This is really fun. And I'll tell you why the new feature is awesome. And the only reason I'm picking it, I've used this since the iPhone came out.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
This is awesome. There's two of them. There's SoundHound, and there's another one called something Jam. I've always used SoundHound. So here's what it is. It's an app that you can take while music's playing in a bar or whatever. You start it up, you click listen, and it takes 20 seconds of a song. It then recognizes it and then comes down and tells you what song it is, what album, whatever. It gives you a link to buy it on that. You can ping it. You can do all sorts of millions of stuff. It's a great app. It now includes iCloud support, meaning it will then sync what you've then looked up from your different devices. Kind of cool, not a big deal. Two things it does really awesome. One is you can sing to it. So you can say...
Isn't this like Shazam? Wasn't that the other one?
Shazam is one of them. You can sing to it, and it will try to recognize a song. Very, very cool. But the feature
it will not recognize if I start singing to it,
you can get it to work. The feature that I love, the new feature that I love, that I just saw, because I was just using it on some piece of music, some 80s music. I was like, who sings this?
Milli Vanilli.
It wasn't Milli Vanilli.
Oh.
And I was in Bowlmore at a birthday party, and I was listening. I had it up to...
Bowlmore a sponsor?
They should be. And I was listening to his music, and then down came it, and it came to the song, right? It came down and showed me the song. And then I was looking at the song and seeing who did it and who sung it. And below, I saw lyrics.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, lyrics. And they were in line. They were going...
As the song was going?
As the song was going,
it
was showing me the lyrics, and it was writing them out.
Were you then singing along?
And then I could sing along.
Oh.
It was
or
like...
you could lip sync
along
to Milli Vanilli.
It was my own little karaoke machine.
That's pretty nice.
It was pretty cool.
I don't think I'm actually going to download it. I was looking at your little description.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be something else. I don't really care.
Siri, buy me this music?
Or play, I guess Siri does that,
that
anyway, play
yeah.
this song.
It's very, very cool, because it's just nice to be in a place you hear a great song, and also it keeps it keeps what you did, so you can go back and then buy them later if you want. Anyway, SoundHound, and now has lyrics and iCloud support, available on Apple iTunes for free. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Go to blog.arkusinc.com and subscribe via RSS if you want to read all of the blog posts.
I was saying comment on our blog.
Oh, I have that as the last thing. Yeah,
so discuss there.
And you just got to comment on yours, so you can go look
at
that right now while I end up the podcast. Follow the company at arkusinc.com or Arkusinc on Twitter. I'm at Jason M. Atwood on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Find me at all those places. Justin here is Just Edelstein on Facebook, and I don't know, I'm not giving away your Facebook, doesn't really matter. And Twitter and Google Plus, all this great stuff. We're at Facebook. Arkus is facebook.com/ArkusInc, and the podcast is on iTunes. Subscribe. You will get the podcast as soon as we come out, or if we don't do it, it won't come to you like we did last week. Sorry about that. We're back in the groove of things. We hope to keep them coming. Till next week, enjoy those cloudy days.